Hello and welcome. It was cloudy when I decided to sit here. Now the sun has come out. So I hope you can still see me, otherwise it doesn't matter, just listen. Hopefully it won't become too hot. There's a nice cool breeze. We've had some rain recently. So moving right on with the first comment or question today. Could you explain what the nimitta is? Nimitta is the Pali word meaning signs. Signs. As in signs that show us the way, or just signs of something, indicators of something. And one should think of them like that, as just indicators of something, just phenomena. As with seeing is just seeing, just that, our eyes picking up light, reflecting off an object, our then minds interpreting that signal, so are nimitta. But nimitta people can get quite excited about, much like piti and sukha. Piti is a feeling of physical rapture, such that you might experience when maybe listening to a beautiful piece of music that you're very fond of and haven't heard for a long time, and you have tingling down your spine or hairs on your arms standing up, you know, this physical lovely feeling. Oh, that's so nice. This is described in the Pali word piti. And sukha is mental joy or happiness. And in the initial stages of samadhi, as our bodies have had time to settle and then relax, as our minds have had time to settle and then become calm and peaceful, we might experience these phenomena. Piti, physical rapture; sukha, mental joy or happiness, a very pleasant overall feeling, a sense of well-being. And this is internal, it's absorption inside rather than from external stimulation, like that source of pleasant music that you might enjoy, bringing about similar feelings. Nimitta are similarly a phenomena arising, much like just when you first lay down, close your eyes to go to sleep at night, and you can check this next time you do that. It isn't just black, is it? You'll see all kinds of lights, flashing, signals. This is what we would describe as nimitta. Maybe I'm alone in this, I don't know. I can't experience other people's sense of closing their eyes and going to sleep, but one would imagine we're all pretty similar in that respect. It isn't just blank and black. There is light. Even when the lights are off, you're in a darkened room. Your mind creates visual stimuli for the brain to continue to work on. Some might interpret this as Mara, distraction, interference. Mara being the personification of our defilements, kilesas in the Pali, of greed, hatred and delusion. This, I must move this because maybe it's getting hot. That's the questions, getting hot. Because the screen goes a different colour. So that's a sign that the phone needed moving. These nimitta we experience in meditation are not a sign to do anything, such as moving something, getting up, or following something. So don't try and follow the signs. See them as just that. Mental phenomena, stimuli, much like your visual experience during a dream. And they can be really bright and vivid and light and exciting and fireworks, fashion, fabulous. Really something to enjoy. Or it could just be a bit of flashing lights, a bit of distraction. But just let it be, let it pass, let it fade, let it go away. If it remains, allow it. It isn't going to do anything. It isn't anything to get particularly excited about, other than it is an indication, a sign that your mind is beginning to relax, beginning to become absorbed. But it isn't yet absorbed into samadhi. because what is happening is creating this phenomena to avoid you doing that, to avoid you going into deep stages of absorption, such as samadhi, because your thinking brain is a survivor. It wants you to be awake and alert. It wants you to be in touch with all of your physical senses and feelings, as well as all sensory perception from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and mentally alert. Because this is our protection, our means of protection. So your thinking brain, your logical side, is giving you stimuli visually to keep the mind alert. Now, of course, in meditation, we're not trying to achieve anything, go anywhere, do anything. Simply let go of all of that. Let go of that bodily experience, that mental experience, and be able to experience what we might call as emptiness or sunyata, a spaciousness, but infinite spaciousness of being really independent of this physical form and intellectual tie to logic, and able to really experience the release from all that, experience and get a glimpse of freedom from all suffering associated with those ties, those fetters, as I discussed recently, that link us to samsara, to the cycle of rebirth, or within this lifetime itself, just that, what we're experiencing on a daily basis throughout all of our daily activities. So nimitta are not a bad thing. They're not necessarily an overly good thing to get excited about. People rave about them. Have you had nimitta? Have you experienced nimitta? Some people don't. Some people do. It isn't necessarily an indicator of progression. They can come at any time. And they can be a hindrance as much as a confirmation that you're starting to relax. So let them pass, like any other thoughts or mental phenomena. Someone talking about pindaparta and saying that in America it's not necessarily a terrible place, but you would struggle to get one meal. In fact, if I was in America, and in many places that begging is a criminal offence. So I think begging is a kind of a bylaw criminal offence in most places, but one of the curious laws regarding begging in my own country, and I can only speak of that, an old Victorian bylaw, is you can actually beg for food up until midday. Begging for money is a different matter. I think it's covered by different laws, but you can look hungry and beg for food even up until midday. But nevertheless, a monk, a bhikkhu on pindaparta, isn't actually begging. We're called alms mendicants because we're relying on offerings of food from others. But it is prohibited in our Vinaya, that is our rules, our code of conduct, to ask. So we can't even write a sign saying, don't give us this or don't give us that, or write a sign with preferences of what we want to receive. We can't ask, we can't speak. When people say, what can I give you? What do you want? I will say, it's up to you. Or make no comment. So we're not begging in that sense, we're not asking. In fact, we hold our bowl, we cover our bowl with our robe, this outer robe, in a fashion that we are not trying to be sneaky, but we're not overtly walking around with an open-lidded begging bowl, which is as much or as good as asking verbally. Our bowl is covered until someone might say, here, Harudua or Sadhu or Silawansa or any of the terms they might use to address you, to attract your attention, hold their hands in Anjali, and only then our bowl appears as if by magic, the lid opens with the other hand and they're able to pop something in. So this isn't actually begging. Now with regards to other countries, I know that there are monks in America doing this on a regular basis, and yes, they might not get lots of meals or an abundance to share with all when they return to their home, but it's most unlikely, if you're out for a good length of time during a morning, that you'll get nothing. You will get enough to survive. I've managed to in non-Buddhist countries, and including England, and not intentionally, in fact, but just walking from one place to another, being offered sufficient to survive another day, because it was at the appropriate time. And then throughout the rest of the day, afternoon, also been offered food, which I've had to refuse and say no thank you, because we don't eat in the afternoon and I don't store food overnight. So it depends on the exact locality, and monks have to just use due diligence on that to establish that they're not breaking any laws or likely to offend anyone. When I was here, first of all, I noticed there were no monks, other monks in the immediate vicinity going on pindaparta. So I did visit the local monasteries, temples, just to introduce myself, and there wasn't much of a conversation because I don't speak the language, but they asked about where I'm going to eat and what I'm going to do, and I explained by just saying pindaparta, each day, one meal, using the various Pali terms that we can use for those, and it just was understood that's what I would be doing, and there was seemingly no offence taken by them, or they seemed to give its acceptance, so that would be perfectly okay. I was just, as a foreigner in their country and as a fellow Buddhist of the Sangha, paying respects and out of courtesy doing that. It wasn't perhaps necessary, but I felt that it was a good thing or way to introduce myself, and it was okay, and it's worked well ever since. So it really depends where you are and how you go about it. But you shouldn't, but no, we can't as monks really go out. It isn't really begging. So technically you're not really in breach of any laws. I've also had to check with regards to immigration, you see, because I consider pindaparta as my livelihood, right livelihood. Monks, all bhikkhus do. And being here with on a tourist visa, one isn't allowed to work, not allowed to earn money, do any jobs of that nature like that. So I checked with immigration, and they considered, because it doesn't involve money, that pindaparta is not considered working, going out, doing a job, earning a living that way. But it is very much your living. It is the food you eat from day to day and keeps you going for 24 hours from one morning until the next. But as long as that's okay with them, it's okay with me. So that was a situation I've addressed in the past. Someone says here, can you teach me? Well, I'm not really a teacher, I'm just sharing my own experiences with you, and you're making a comment there to a video. Hopefully something was useful in that talk, and you're now listening again, and hopefully there'll be more that's useful in this talk also. Keep listening, keep watching, and you will pick up what you can use and let go of what you can't. Hopefully that will be going some way towards your learning and understanding of Buddhism in its practice, and you can put that all encompass it within your own practice and learn yourself, teach yourself from your own experience of keeping sila, practicing meditation. This is how we develop wisdom. So, contentment and joy. Is trying to develop contentment and joy in every situation the right path? For example, I'm trying to give up entertainment when I feel bored, but instead of stoically resisting the craving, I try to generate contentment for the present moment as it is. Is this the right way to practice? Whenever the word trying comes up, I rather think of it as effort, but not necessarily right effort. So right effort is making the determination to actually do something, so to sit for a certain amount of time in meditation with a view to developing samadhi, to maintain mindfulness throughout all your daily activities, for instance. These involve right effort. But if you've really got to try really hard and concentrate on sitting still, then you're missing really the point of what it is we're supposed to be doing and what we're trying to achieve, or I should say not achieve. We're not trying to achieve anything. So we shouldn't be trying to get anything, including contentment and joy. Like piti and sukha, as I described, if we try to get those, it's just not going to happen, because there's a force implied there, that we're trying to force ourselves to feel something that isn't happening naturally. And anything that's unnatural is either artificial or just not going to work. It won't give you true contentment and joy. The way we develop contentment is through letting go of our attachments to, for instance, the need to listen to music. But as lay people, you don't have to let go of that. If listening to music gives you contentment and joy, then it's okay. You can make a determination once a month, twice a month, once a week, or even for a certain part of the day, not to indulge in music or entertainment for a period of time, to really compare the experience and see how it feels. And it might make even the listening of the music later even more enjoyable for the break that you've had. And that's okay. So maybe stop trying so hard to develop these things and let these qualities develop naturally through the overall practice, which involves letting go through the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, keeping the 5 precepts, practicing meditation. This in itself assists you with the development of wholesome mind states and reduction of unwholesome mind states, which is the development of wisdom, clear viewing, the seeing clearly, and understanding of all characteristics of existence, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and then being out of our control, that we can also see through the appreciation of good music, however much we like something, a tune, if we were to just listen to that tune, that music over and over again, it would soon become quite deplorable, something you don't like. You'd be fed up of it and you'd want to change the track. As soon as you have that feeling, what next, what to play next, which record should I put on, which CD, which, I don't know how you do it now, but there is immediately an understanding of impermanence. You had joy and happiness listening to something, and then as soon as the thought comes out, what next, it's where that has peaked and is starting to go rapidly downhill. The peak of enjoyment to go rapidly down towards all, eventually, if you had to continue listening to that music, the same over and over again, suffering. So to go back up again, you change the track. You can see this clearly through that activity. This is a way of seeing, recognizing what is desire and the opposite of contentment, and what we have to let go of in order to see contentment. So by these occasions where you're not listening to music, you can appreciate that in that peaceful time, you're not having that up and down, up and down. You're not having to change anything. You're not having to ask yourself, what next? There is no next. You have no music for the rest of the day until the following dawn. So 24 hours on 8 precepts is a very good practice in that sense, to experience the alternative. And there you'll see contentment. And this will result in joy, mental happiness. PT maybe, but sukha specifically, mental joy, arriving happiness coming from as a symptom of contentment. So I've done something now, broken something. Okay. Right, we have the next question. The essence of the teaching of Buddha and many others is the mental state of non-duality. I pause there because it actually is not. It might be interpreted that way in some traditions, and in Mahayana, perhaps, tradition, the northern school of Buddhism, but non-duality in regards to the 5 khandhas, yes. So rupa khandha, so physical body, feelings, and recollection of what it is we're sensing, what we're feeling, mental formations, and sense consciousness is all resulting from this physical body and this thinking brain, which indeed, yes, is in terms of the basic understanding, and I say the sort of mundane basic understanding of non-duality, that is just the elements, that is just the biological makeup of what is often considered as a self, a persona. And the Buddha, yes, teaches non-self, that the five khandhas, as I've just described, is not a self. It is just part of the universe. It's the elements. That's a basic, mundane understanding of non-duality. But whereas in some philosophies, that is it. That includes the mind as being all part of one, and the universe and the sea and the earth and the space and the cosmos, and each and every one of us is all merged into one with God and all of this stuff. That isn't the philosophy or the specific teachings of Buddhism or essential teachings of Buddhism. No, it isn't, because we still have mind, the citta. So vijnana is brain, sense consciousness, citta is mind, and that is separate from these five khandhas, and therefore where there's something separate, there is no non-duality. There's the opposite, which is duality, something separate. But that something separate is, yes, not some confusing double negatives or whatever there, but it's, yes, not a self. It is not part of these khandhas. It's not a physical form. It's not an intellectual thinking brain. It is that which knows. It is what experiences the results of these five khandhas, and it is that which is reborn. So one could say, oh, well, that's all just energy and it's all merged into one, and we're all such wonderful flowery hippies living this non-dualistic life. Yes, great. If that's what floats your boat and you're happy with that, that's really cool too. And the Buddha doesn't really say anything against that idea, because it's still confirming not self, which is certainly a fundamental aspect of right view, but it doesn't really give one much insight as to what it is you're going to get or not get, but what it is you're going to experience through these five khandhas in meditation, in deep samadhi, in jhanas, by having that experience of emptiness known only by what is the mind, when it is absorbed and therefore secluded from the hindrances, the obstacles to meditation, and also secluded from and are not a part of the physical body and its feelings, the thinking brain and its thoughts, separate, but experiencing through a heightened sense of awareness and knowing that emptiness, sunyata. But that is not an empty container, but more an overall infinite spaciousness. So in itself, that citta can experience a kind of non-duality too. So duality, non-duality, people throw these terms about like willy-nilly, like free will. And very often the most common questions and topics for debate and discussion are on duality and non-duality and free will and all of these things. But if you ask yourself, when you ask this question, what do I actually mean by that? What do I understand by that in really basic language? What is non-duality? Is it that you are totally all at one with the universe? I could just melt into the sand here now, and there would be no awareness or consciousness or knowledge of that. That would be the case as far as the five khandhas are concerned. Vijnana, sense consciousness, when I melt through this blazing hot sun behind me into a sort of a molten glass mess onto the sand and become part of the sand, there will be no sense consciousness, vijnana, after the demise of the physical body and the thinking brain. But what we're learning to come to see for ourselves, not believe from what other people tell us in our meditation, is there is citta, the mind, that which knows of this experience. It is that is where we have the understanding through our own practice and our own experience of rebirth. So this is what we're looking at there. So then you talk about things such as following rules, rituals. Oh, I think this is the person who likes to keep commenting about me wearing these robes, shaving my head and doing morning puja and chanting, and how that's all a complete waste of time. It can be considered such. It's if you get nothing from it, you're not having to do that. What is more important is your understanding correctly of what you're thinking, not what other people think you're thinking or what you're trying to explain by terminology like non-duality, but what's your understanding of it? Are you just the universe? Is that it? And you don't accept rebirth, you don't accept karma because you can't experience it or understand it, then in that case, then this is for your own discernment, and this is not the teachings of the Buddha, though. Fundamental aspect of right view is that of rebirth and karma, not to be believed, but to be understood and experienced in one's own meditative practice, not contemplated and thought about for hours, but just sitting, doing nothing. Much like I was explaining earlier in Samadhi, you're getting a glimpse of what is not exactly as one might define in Hinduism, for instance, non-duality to be. And then so you say all of those, what you considering rites and rituals, if you're believing that they are part of a rite of passage, then they're rites and rituals. If you're practicing reflections, as I do in morning puja in the morning, on the qualities of the Buddha and other reflections, then these are just mindful practices of beginning our day. And that's followed by some meditation. It's a way of actually introducing our bodies and our thinking brains gently to the coming day. It's a mindful activity. One can take various approaches. Some people might like to go for a walk on the beach or a run in their local park, or go to the gym, listen to some music, or go and have a nice breakfast in a cafe. Well, it doesn't matter how you want to start your day. No one says by those actions you have the wrong view because you're considering yourself dualistic, because you go to Starbucks for a toasted cheese sandwich and a latte. This doesn't mean you can't still have an understanding of non-duality any more than if you decide to perform puja in your living room or your bedroom in front of a stone rock carving of Buddha, Jesus, Vishnu, whomever, and do some bowing. It's no difference. It bears no relation on one's view of non-duality or duality. Okay, the phone. This is the phone is not liking being out here. I mean, I'm quite warm, but the phone is suggesting it's extremely warm because it's going a funny colour. Here we are. Do Buddhist monks like yourself drink water throughout the day? I know you don't eat past 12 o'clock, but just curious because I'm doing that, but I drink tons of water for the rest of the day. Yes, I mean, you certainly do drink tons of water, especially if you're just beginning not eating in the afternoon. It helps a lot, it fills you up. No, we can drink anything we like. Obviously nothing intoxicants, non-alcoholic, but we can even drink soda, tea, coffee, but not milk. It's considered food, or similar things. And with regards to fruit juice, only strained fruit juice, not pureed or smoothie kind of thick juices like that, because it's food, isn't it? Just squashed up, liquidized, smashed. So we can drink tea, coffee, sugary drinks, soda, dare I say, I've said coffee, so I'll say Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Mountain Dew even. What do you got these days? Red Bull, Monster, perfectly okay. Monks can drink those if they're offered to them. They can't just go to the shops and buy them, of course, but if they've been offered in the morning and they're there in the cold box in the afternoon, you can have a cold, sweet drink of any kinds. Water's best, obviously, and usually probably at a time appropriate, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock early evening, we will sit and have that sugary drink, something a bit more tasty, a cup of tea, just to give us a little spurt of energy, a boost of energy for the rest of the evening, which is why I mention those sort of caffeinated drinks like coffee or tea or Coke or something like that, because they can give you a boost in your practice if you're not eating. So it's perfectly fine. Afternoon, anything that's not, just no solid food afternoon. Just to, sorry, I know that's a very frequently often asked question, but they're going to come up. I kind of tried to work around that, but they don't come up so often. So hopefully I'm answering those either directly or people are getting the idea. It's good to remind ourselves always on these things. Right, do Buddhist monks like yourself drink? That's the same question, so maybe I put it twice there. Okay, the cheetah is by definition the one that knows. So yes, that's the way they put it in Thailand a lot, the one that knows. But it's not necessarily by definition what the cheetah is. Think of it this way: the cheetah is the mind, is the brain. No, the cheetah is the mind. The 5 khandhas, well, the 4 of the 5 khandhas, I suppose including all 5 really. Rupa is the brain, physical brain is part of the body, isn't it? So the 5 khandhas, so the body, the feelings of that body, the recollection of those feelings, the mental formations that the thinking brain makes, and the vijnana, the sense consciousness resulting from all of that, is the physical brain. Anyway, the cheetah is by definition that which knows. Why during sleep the cheetah is present but not aware? I'm still rather confused. So I did reply to that because that was almost an email, and I replied. I'm trying to remember how I replied. I know it was quite a concise answer, which I'd like to give you now, but simply that the cheetah is the mind, whereas the rest of it is the brain. What you're having a trouble to understand is, while during the sleep the cheetah is present but not aware. So the cheetah, so let's take away this pure definition of the cheetah as the one that knows all of the time. If you're not in touch with your mind, in touch with the cheetah, and you think of yourself as being sense consciousness only, then you're not experiencing that of the cheetah, the experience of the cheetah, the mind. So think of what falls in love. Is it your physical body? Is it a logical process? No, it's really your heart, isn't it? People say, oh, it's a heartfelt feeling, you fall in love. Meaning mind, heart, mind, something outside of, not place, it's not biologically placed in the physical body. But it is obviously very much a part of you, being in love. But that's not the thinking brain, is it? It's the mind. Now, when you're asleep, you don't stop loving, but you're not consciously aware of that loving. So when you're asleep, you're unconscious. There's no vijnana. So there's no mindfulness when we're asleep either. We cannot have samasati, right mindfulness, when we're asleep. And therefore we cannot maintain the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of the mind, citta, and mindfulness of phenomena. When we're asleep, all of those have gone. We've got no mindfulness. Maybe even if we dream and have a very vivid dream, at the moment it's happening in sleep. It's hard to determine this, but it's not mindfulness, because it's in hindsight, if we remember that dream when we awake, that we're aware of it. It was again happening in the past, in hindsight. So mindfulness is of the present moment, here and now. What's going on right in front of us at this minute, at the second moment. This is mindfulness. So where there's no mindfulness, there can be no 4 foundations of mindfulness, and therefore no mindfulness of citta, mindfulness of the mind. So you have no awareness, mindfulness of the citta when you're asleep, but it doesn't mean it's gone away. As soon as you wake up, this is why it's very important on awakening to put in front of you, first and foremost, the minute you awake, mindfulness. the whole practice can be determined by how well you keep and practice mindfulness from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep. So if you make that determination on waking to bring your awareness to the breath, the first breath of the day, in and out, you're establishing mindfulness first and foremost and in front of you, as before and more important than anything else. It will be your protector throughout the day thereafter, because you cannot make mistakes. You won't get things wrong. You won't have accidents because you're being very careful. It's mindfulness. From that moment on, you're having mindfulness of the body, its feelings, of citta, the mind, and of all phenomena, all experience resulting from the five khandhas that I've mentioned there again with quite a few times. So quite different things. We hear some phrases that get so ingrained by hearing them so many times, like citta is the one that knows. It's very true, it is the one that knows. I say it all the time, but one must be a little bit clearer on that, because when you're speaking to somebody who has no understanding of Buddhism, and you say, oh, well, it's the one that knows, you know, they might at the very best think you're implying that you're talking about a soul, which is something separate that gets reborn to heaven or sent to hell, but it's part of you and it has inherent qualities of the person, the persona, the individual. But it isn't a thing in Buddhism, because there is no self to even be a part of what is a soul. There is just that pure mind. And when I say pure mind, it's only pure when it's completely free from, unattached, and therefore all fetters are cut off at the root to the five khandhas and experience of those five khandhas. That is this physical human rebirth. And therefore all desire let go of, not squashed, not suppressed, not ignored, but just let go of through an understanding of need and want, and only having what's necessary, what you need, and therefore not wanting what will be ultimately unsatisfying, creating more fuel to the fire of desire. This development is freeing that citta from rebirth into samsara, which is our goal towards nibbana. I think this will be the final comment or question for today. I'm not feeling too hot, but the phone that I'm reading these comments from certainly seems to be. What would happen if you were asked to sit and do nothing for a whole day? Well, nobody really needs to ask me to do that or not do that, to sit and do nothing for a whole day, because that's what I do. I sit and do nothing mostly for most of the day. And what would happen? Well, nothing will happen. That's the idea. There's nothing that needs to happen next. I'm not usually thinking, oh, what shall I do next? Where shall I go next? I haven't got any meals to plan for the rest of the day from now on. After I've finished talking to you, there's the freedom of the rest of the day until I go to sleep tonight to just practice, to meditate, to enjoy that meditation in samadhi, maybe to read something or study something or listen to something, but really just to sit and enjoy. I don't necessarily have to be in samadhi that whole time. There are beautiful surroundings around me. I don't have to be looking at them, but by being amidst them, you can enjoy them. And I have no real desire for anything more. This is just the natural state of contentment that comes about after years of spending your time practicing wherever you are, but in such places which is very conducive to that lifestyle. The realization you need nothing more. So what would happen? Nothing will happen, but also nothing bad will happen. So a whole day, one needs to normally get up every few hours to go to the toilet or to drink some water. Otherwise you might start to, you probably won't do yourself much harm if you meditate for much longer than that, but continual meditation for more than 3 hours is, I must say I have meditated for longer than that on a regular basis. during certain determined efforts of mine. But I've always found that after a few hours, it's about the right time to get up, and maybe just even if it's just to practice some walking meditation up and down for a little while, it's a good break. But you could sit for the whole day, depending on how long you think that day is. Probably 9 hours is about the tops. You're going to need to get some water or go to the toilet. Otherwise, you might just do yourself some harm. If you dehydrate, it's very hot here, you sweat, so you're going to get a headache. This is the problem. So you don't want to be sitting there with a flask of water. That's not meditation. So please don't take your glasses, your flasks of water into the meditation hall. Go to the meditation hall having refreshed yourself with the determination to meditate and not rattle your aluminium tins around to annoy other people. This is the objective. It's to group meditation is to support each other, and it's not a competition. It's not, oh well, I can sit here the longest, then I win the prize. But to do that, I've got to keep sipping water because everyone says you must rehydrate all of the time. Yeah, that's fine if you need to rehydrate, but wait until you've finished that determined period of meditation and do it elsewhere. No drinking or eating, even only water, should be done really in amongst your group of meditators. And that includes the monks in front of them. Do I ever sit here drinking in front of you when I'm talking to you? No. I personally don't feel it's necessary, but I also don't think it's appropriate to do so because it would encourage everyone else. What you're doing, watching this, really doesn't matter. I'm sure people will be sitting and doing all sorts of things, eating and drinking, but one sets as an example the way we listen to Dharma is the way I'm talking about Dharma, and that is with only your interests in mind and my sharing of my own experience towards your interests, and nothing else. I'm not here to join you in a cup of coffee or a glass of water, and I'm quite capable of speaking for an hour or so, probably a lot longer, without having to gulp gallons of water. So I incline away from that kind of tendency. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent now. What would happen if you sat around all day and did nothing? So that is absolutely, this is what happens. After about a day, I'll probably have the inclination to get this phone out again and sit in front of it and be speaking to again, just like this. It's just that. That's my routine. So wake up, meditate, puja, pindaparta, eat my meal, talk to you, meditate. Go to sleep, wake up, meditate, puja, pindaparta, eat my meal, talk to you, meditate, go to sleep, and so on, so on. They say, what is it, that expression you hear? Sleep, I don't know, eat, work, like this Groundhog Day going round and round. It's slightly different because it involves doing less and only eating once, but it's very, very simple and very easy if you try it for yourself. And try it on those Uposatha days when you're on 8 precepts, you're not eating in the afternoon, you have no entertainment to distract you. You just try sitting and you'll get the very best answer to your question by trying it yourself. As within all of these things, everything I say, it's not to be believed, it's to be experienced by yourself. This is how the Buddha teaches us, not to believe him, but to experience it for ourselves. So go and don't be told, tell yourself to go and sit and do nothing for the whole day and see what happens. You might not be able to do it for the whole day, but it'll be interesting for you to see how long you can do that for. How long it is before you make yourself have to do something. I say make yourself because it's very often that you don't have to go and do anything. You feel guilty you're not doing anything. You want to go and do something because you're bored. It's Mara, it's the kilesas, it's the defilements, greed, hatred and delusion, distracting us from just being able to sit and do nothing that makes us feel we have to do something. Most people cannot do nothing. They have to be either doing something or planning to do something, or even just thinking that they're going to be doing something. They always have the question, what next? Think of it the other way around. You need to try and get rid of the what next question and be content to what is now. So the question should not be what next, but what now? What is now? That's all you can deal with. That's all there is, here and now. So focus on that, and what next will go away. This is truly letting go. Okay, thank you for watching. Until next time, be happy and stay well. Sukhi Hotu.